A week before the wedding, Angie Bailey presented me with 99 detailed requests for our special day. I spent 3 sleepless nights meticulously preparing everything. However, after our wedding photoshoot, she vanished without a trace. When I finally found her, her first love was down on one knee, holding my engagement ring at the venue I had painstakingly arranged. Caught red-handed, she had the audacity to accuse me of being inconsiderate. "I merely asked Kevin to help me practice the positioning," she claimed. "You're lame. What if there's a mistake during the ceremony because we didn't rehearse the positioning?" I looked down at my left leg, injured for her sake, and turned to leave. She was never my only option. Later, at the actual wedding ceremony, it was Angie Bailey who showed up in a wedding dress, tearfully begging me to marry her. Ding! Story Shots reminds you to click the subscribe button at the bottom right corner to read the full novel. What if your limp affects the wedding? As soon as Angie Bailey said those words, we both froze. My imperfect foot had always been a wound in my heart, but now she was rubbing salt in it for Kevin Lloyd's sake. What's more, the reason for my limp was because of her. Angie let go of Kevin's hand and walked to my side. "Robert, I'm sorry. I wasn't thinking straight when I said that." She tried to take my hand as she spoke, but I stepped back to avoid her touch. Angie was wearing the wedding dress I had specially ordered for her today, looking stunningly beautiful. I had promised her when I knelt on one knee and kissed her hand in the bridal shop. "Angie, I will always treat you well." Angie had stiffly withdrawn her hand then, seeming a bit embarrassed. There are so many people around, but just outside the door, I had seen her reach out to Kevin, her usually cool face breaking into a shy smile. This hand I now found repulsive. As Angie was about to flare up, Kevin stepped in front of me, blocking her. "Robert, you're overthinking this. Although we were together in the past, we're just good friends now." The words "we're together" and "good friends" were deliberately emphasized. Angie chimed in, "That's right. Why do you always fixate on these little things?" Angie was wearing the wedding dress I bought. At the venue I had spent a fortune to create, letting her first love try on the ring I purchased for a mock wedding. Yet she treated it as if it were nothing. "Angie Bailey, you can be so cruel." I turned to leave, but Kevin's outstretched foot tripped me. After I steadied myself, I instinctively looked back to see Angie's reaction, but she just looked at me with disappointment. "Robert Bennett, are you so jealous of Kevin that you want to make him a cripple like you?" This time she called me a cripple. My heart felt like it was being fried in oil, trembling with pain. I didn't want to argue. I drove to the nearest pub to drown my sorrows. After downing several bottles, my stomach started to ache. Every time I came home from a business dinner, Angie would prepare honey water for me. She would place her hand on my stomach and ask with concern if it still hurt. Although it didn't really help, it warmed me to my core. I was lost in these memories until Angie's special ringtone sounded. "Robert, weren't we supposed to attend my class reunion? Where are you?" "I'm not going, Angie. I've had a drink and I'm not feeling well," I tentatively replied, still harboring some inexplicable hope. Angie, on the other end of the phone, was clearly displeased. "Well, you still need to come pick me up." My heart sank. "I've been drinking." Before I could finish, she hung up. Every time Angie went out, I would drive her there and back, even canceling important meetings to do so. After hesitating for a while, I still went. I admit I couldn't let go of our 7-year relationship. It wasn't until Kevin extended his hand to me at the reunion that I realized how foolish I'd been. I forced a smile. "Angie, wasn't this supposed to be a class reunion?" Angie's university roommate laughed. "Kevin's not just anyone. Where Angie is, he's sure to be." I stood there, feeling the mocking gazes around me, my hands slowly clenching at my sides. At the dinner table, Kevin picked up some fish for Angie. I was about to say she doesn't eat fish, but Angie smiled and ate it. But she absolutely hates fish. She once poured a fish soup I had spent hours making straight down the toilet. I put down my cutlery self-mockingly, but when I saw Kevin's hand, my pupils dilated in shock. "Why do you have my ring?" The ring on Kevin's finger was clearly the men's wedding band I had prepared for our wedding. I grabbed Kevin Lloyd's hand as he tried to hastily withdraw it. "You thief!" I exclaimed. Angie Bailey pushed me away forcefully, causing the hot soup on the table to spill onto my hand. She stood protectively in front of Kevin, her face filled with anger. "Robert Bennett, have you gone mad? Kevin is an artist. How could you grab his hand like that?" I stood there stunned, the severe burn on my hand paling in comparison to the pain in my heart. Was Kevin's hand so precious that mine was worthless in comparison? Suppressing my pain to maintain my dignity, I asked, "Angie, where did Kevin get that ring on his finger?" Angie looked at me impatiently. "Robert, will you ever stop? Your ring is with me. This one is Kevin's." She took out a ring box from her bag, containing an identical ring. She held up the ring, showing me the inside of the band. "Look, the initials we engraved together are still here. When we chose this ring, Angie had leaned against me and suggested engraving our initials. She said that by engraving our names, the ring would truly belong to just the two of us. But she hadn't noticed that the counterfeit ring was missing the small she habitually added to her signature. I forced a cold smile. "How does Kevin happen to have the same ring as ours?" Angie shrugged it off. "He liked it and had one made. What's the problem?" I gritted my teeth. So our wedding ring was just something that could be casually replicated in her eyes. The stinging in my arm reminded me that the wound would worsen if not treated quickly, so I had to leave. As I was leaving, I overheard someone in the private room speaking in a low voice. "He's just a nouveau riche, putting on airs. Kevin is much more suitable for Angie. They're both intellectuals, far superior to that crippled bumpkin." I slowed my steps, hoping to hear Angie defend me, even if just with a single word. But Angie was only fussing over Kevin, who was pretending to be in pain, her eyes full of concern. When I returned home after getting my wound bandaged at the hospital, Angie had just brought back a bag of burn ointment. She looked at my bandaged arm and panicked a bit. "How did it get so serious? I thought it was just a minor burn." I avoided Angie as she rushed towards me, my expression cold. As we stood facing each other, my phone chimed with a text message. It was from the register office, reminding me that our scheduled marriage registration time had expired and we needed to make a new appointment as soon as possible. We had originally planned to register our marriage after Angie tried on her wedding dress today, but things had ended badly. While I was still hesitating, Angie grabbed my phone and made an appointment for tomorrow. She clutched at my shirt, her eyes bright. "Robert, I won't miss it this time. Consider it my birthday gift to you." That smile was identical to the one from our secondary school days. I was a scholarship student in secondary school, ostracized by everyone. Angie, as the class representative, always looked out for me. She was the only light in that dark period of my life. In the end, I had to drop out because my family couldn't afford the fees. Fortunately, my family received a substantial compensation payment due to a redevelopment project. When I heard that Angie's family had gone bankrupt, I immediately rushed to help her sort things out. My leg was also severely injured by debt collectors while protecting Angie, leaving me with a permanent limp. If I hadn't happened to come into money, perhaps I would have been doomed to be a pathetic hanger-on for life. So I treated her even better, only to be hurt deeply when Kevin returned. Seeing her smile, the same as in secondary school, my heart betrayed me by skipping a beat once again. In 2 more days, it would be our wedding. The next morning, Angie Bailey took out 2 tickets for an art exhibition. She smiled and held my hand. "Why don't we go to the art exhibition together? We can also pick out your birthday present for tomorrow." I wasn't particularly interested in art exhibitions, but I still accompanied her. At the exhibition, Angie pointed out several paintings she liked, and I bought them all with a wave of my hand. "By the way, which artist's exhibition is this? We haven't seen the person yet." Angie hesitated and mumbled, "A friend of mine." The artist hadn't appeared yet, but the paintings were selling quickly. I then realized that the buyers were all my business partners. Seeing that I liked the paintings, they naturally bought them to curry favor with me. "Mr. Bennett, thank you to your wife for sending us the tickets." I frowned, sensing something was amiss. Suddenly, a commotion arose in the crowd. Kevin Lloyd is really impressive, returning to the UK market from abroad. His paintings are so popular. Indeed, selling so many paintings at his first formal exhibition in the UK. His commercial value must have skyrocketed. He's absolutely dreamy. As people around us applauded and cheered, I turned to see Angie's guilty face and felt a chill run through my body. It turned out Angie had brought me here merely to boost Kevin's popularity, using my connections to enhance his reputation. My nails dug into my palm, my heart feeling as if it had been torn to shreds. In her heart, was I her lover or just an ATM? Under my gaze, Angie's face paled, but she quickly regained her composure. Robert, you're not short of money anyway. Collaborating with Kevin can showcase your refined taste. It's a win-win. Kevin walked towards me, surrounded by a crowd of admirers, and extended his hand. Long time no see, Robert. His words suggested familiarity, but his expression was smug. The media turned their cameras towards us, and playing along with Kevin would have been the best outcome at this point. But looking at Kevin's face, I felt nothing but disgust. I swatted his hand away and, ignoring everyone present, turned and left the venue. Sitting in my car, I slammed the steering wheel, my anger finding no outlet. The phone rang. It was a staff member from the register office. Good day, Mr. Bennett. Your scheduled registration time is about to expire. Have you arrived yet? If you can't make it on time, I'm afraid your marriage registration will have to be postponed again. During my silence, the staff member continued, We just contacted Miss Bailey, and she said she was busy and didn't have time to deal with such trivial matters. My sudden departure would certainly have caused a scene, and Angie, still bearing the title of my fiancée, would be at her busiest right now. Registering with me was an insignificant matter. Everything related to Kevin was of utmost importance. This time I was truly exhausted. My hand fell limply, touching Angie's wallet that had fallen into the seat crevice. Inside the wallet was a photo of her and Kevin at the aquarium. In the picture, they were holding hands tightly, like a couple deeply in love. The date marked on the back of the photo was the same day as our first scheduled registration. That day, Angie said a friend was ill and needed care, so she postponed our registration. It turned out this was the second time she had abandoned me for Kevin. I tightly gripped the edge of the photo and replied to the staff member, This marriage is off. After returning home, I received a call from the wedding planner. Mr. Bennett, I'd like to confirm the details for your wedding the day after tomorrow. My assistant had already collected the wedding photos of Angie and me. In the beautifully framed pictures, we both looked happy. I gently touched Angie's face in the photo, the face I had loved for 7 years, and closed my eyes helplessly. This wedding, it can't happen. While I was still thinking about how to explain this to both sets of parents, Angie's editor sent me a message. Mr. Bennett, we've finished binding Angie's new book. A sample copy has been sent to your house. I opened the parcel in the living room. It was Angie's new book, The Wedding of My Dreams. After Angie and I got together, she had made it clear that she didn't want to be a housewife and wanted her own career. With my support, she became a well-known female author. Angie had been planning this book for a year, and I always thought she was writing it for me. Until I saw the cover image of the book, I couldn't believe it and frantically flipped through the pages. The book told the story of a couple who separated for years due to a misunderstanding, only to reunite and discover that they were each other's soulmates, finally ending up happily together. With reddened eyes, I carefully examined the description of the final wedding in the book, my heart breaking. The wedding description in the book was identical to the 99 details Angie had proposed at the time. In this book, the female protagonist was a writer, and the male protagonist was an artist. And the familiar cover page was actually a painting that Kevin had prominently displayed at his exhibition. So all my careful preparations were just a secret between the two of them. As I was tearing the book to shreds, Angie came back from outside. Her voice was shrill as she pushed me away. Robert, are you mad? What have you done to my book? Angie knelt on the ground, picking up the pieces with a pained expression. Seeing how upset she was, I laughed coldly. Angie, are you really upset about the book? Or are you upset that you and Kevin didn't end up together? Angie paused, looking embarrassed as if I had uncovered her secret. She looked at me angrily. Robert, you're invading my privacy. Angie, how do you explain the characters in the book and the wedding details? What am I to you? Am I just a joke in your eyes? I shouted at her for the first time, the veins in my neck bulging. Angie's demeanor weakened, her voice becoming much quieter. It's all a coincidence. Why are you making such a big deal out of it? I threw a stack of photos in her face. Are these coincidences too? Dozens of photos showed her and Kevin standing together, their behavior intimate. Anyone who didn't know better would think they were a couple. Angie bit her lip and looked at me with a pitiful expression. Robert, you're my future husband. Why won't you trust me? There's nothing between Kevin and me. I haven't done anything to betray you. We just have a spiritual connection, a meeting of minds, that's all. Nothing happened between us. We're completely innocent. Looking at Angie in front of me, I felt like I didn't know this woman at all. It was Angie who had once emphasized to me that cheating, whether physical or emotional, was unacceptable. But now she had completely forgotten that. At this moment, I knew that the pure and beautiful Angie I once loved had disappeared. As the clock struck midnight, Angie's phone alarm went off. I immediately saw the note on the alarm, husband's birthday. My fingers turned white as I struggled to maintain my composure. Angie, where's my birthday gift? Angie rummaged through her bag for a while but couldn't find anything. I'm sure I prepared a watch for you. Just then, Kevin's call came through. I put it on speakerphone before Angie could react. Angie, is the watch you left at my place for me? I didn't expect you to remember when I just mentioned it casually. So the watch meant for me was actually Kevin's favorite. I hung up the phone and shook my head disappointedly at Angie. Let's end this. Angie finally realized how angry I was. She desperately grabbed my hand, her voice breaking into sobs. Our wedding is all planned out. Please don't say such hurtful things. Okay? I shook off her hand, my voice ice cold. Angie, did you really think I couldn't live without you? At that moment, I received a message from Cecily. Robert, have you thought about changing the bride for the wedding? 8 years ago, I rescued Cecily Collins from potential harm in an alleyway. To repay me, Cecily's father, a stock market mogul, gave me a tip on a particular stock. It was this very stock that multiplied our family's compensation money from a property deal several times over. The photos of Angie Bailey and Kevin Lloyd were given to me by Cecily, who also suggested the idea of swapping brides. Cecily, you don't have to do this. She quickly replied, Robert, you know I'm willing. After all these years, I certainly understood Cecily's feelings for me. But I had always kept my promise to Angie, never entertaining any other thoughts. I remained silent for a moment, then agreed. The wedding invitations had already been sent out, and suddenly canceling would impact the company. After I explained the situation to my parents, they were furious. Anyone with eyes could see how good you've been to her these past few years. How could she do this to you? Indeed, I had given my heart and soul to Angie for years, but my sincere love was wasted. I quickly had the wedding designer remove everything related to Angie from the original wedding plans. Watching all the carefully arranged details I once cherished turn to nothing, I felt strangely calm. Angie called me many times, but I didn't answer any of them. Just when I thought she had given up, I finished a meeting to find Angie in my office. She was holding the photo from my desk, her eyes slightly red. I had always kept a photo of Angie and me on my desk, taken when I mustered the courage to ask her for a picture together before dropping out of secondary school. In the photo, we wore our school uniforms, our faces youthful and innocent. Sadly, we could never return to those days. Angie carefully took out a box from an insulated bag. Robert, I made you a cake myself. I used to envy my subordinates whose girlfriends or wives lovingly prepared lunch for them, hoping Angie would do the same for me once. But Angie had publicly scolded me in front of everyone. I have my own career, yet you want me to slave away in the kitchen for you? Why should I serve you? However, Angie had a sensitive digestive system, and since her hospital visit, I had personally prepared all her meals. My love for Angie was never reciprocated. Angie's hands trembled as she took out the cake, with several visible red burns. In the past, I would have been extremely concerned. But now, I merely glanced at her hands before returning my attention to the documents in front of me. As Angie was about to say something else, my assistant brought in an 8-inch, two-tiered cake. Mr. Bennett, this is from Miss Collins. She wishes you a happy birthday. Angie's 4-inch cake was instantly overshadowed when placed next to Cecily's. Angie seemed to catch onto something, looking down at me condescendingly. Robert Bennett, is there something going on between you and Cecily? How could you betray me? I couldn't help but laugh. Angie Bailey, even if there was something between Cecily and me, what could you do about it? Weren't you the first to betray us? Angie's face instantly paled, and she was stunned by my next words. Angie, did you really come here for my birthday? As soon as I finished speaking, Angie's phone rang, displaying Kevin Lloyd's name. The moment I left home, I had called the police. I reported Kevin's theft to the police. A 100,000-pound diamond ring was enough to press charges. Robert, there must be some misunderstanding here, Angie Bailey insisted, still siding with Kevin Lloyd despite all the evidence I had presented. I looked at the sweet cake on the table, feeling an inexplicable bitterness in my mouth. Angie, who is this cake really for? Is it for my birthday? Or are you trying to plead Kevin's case? She stammered, unable to form a coherent response. I picked up the fork from the table but didn't touch the ordinary-looking cake Angie had made herself. Instead, I reached for the two-tiered cake custom-made by Cecily Collins. Robert, I made this one myself. I even burned my hand while baking it. I impatiently cut her off. And what does that have to do with me? Angie, have you forgotten that I was burned a few days ago as well? My burn was far more severe than the small red mark on her fingernail, and the wound was still throbbing with pain. Angie seemed to suddenly remember this fact and anxiously tried to examine the wound. I'm sorry, how is it now? I looked at the unconcealed concern in her eyes and found it utterly ironic. Angie did care about me, but her heart always tipped towards Kevin Lloyd. Could this even be called love? Cecily arranged for professional medical care to check on me at home. It's much better now. Angie, all you can do is pay lip service. Just go. My harsh words made her face turn pale, and her eyes immediately welled up with tears. I'm not leaving. I won't leave again. Robert, tomorrow is our wedding day. We've been together for 7 years. Please don't use others to upset me anymore. Okay? I was about to tell her about the change in the wedding's female lead when her phone rang again. After answering, Angie's expression changed several times. Without a doubt, it must have been Kevin Lloyd calling from custody to plead his case. Seeing that she was about to speak up for him again, I called my secretary to escort her out. Don't even think about it. I won't drop the charges. Not long after, I received a call from the police station. Angie had voluntarily testified for Kevin, claiming that he had accidentally taken the wrong item when they were together. Ironically, Angie's evidence was the very photos I had thrown in her face yesterday. The photos showed the two of them in intimate poses, making it plausible that he could have mistakenly taken something. When the police asked for my opinion, I remained silent for a moment before agreeing. After the two left the police station, they became a trending topic. Outside the station doors, a group of entertainment reporters surrounded them. Miss Bailey, why were you and Mr. Lloyd at the police station together? It's rumored to be about theft. Can you address this directly? It seems you and Kevin Lloyd have a history. What exactly is Mr. Bennett's role in this relationship? Some opportunists started a live stream, and the love triangle involving a famous female author attracted quite an audience. In the stream, Angie was seen awkwardly dodging the cameras. In the jostling crowd, the bag in her hand was knocked over, scattering the photos that had been used as evidence all over the ground. Countless cameras zoomed in on the photos on the ground, while Angie and Kevin's faces turned deathly pale. Oh my God! Isn't this cheating? Wasn't Angie Bailey supposed to marry Robert Bennett? You don't know? The bride announced for the wedding has already been changed. Rich people really know how to manage risks. Angie no longer cared about hiding her face and tightly grabbed the clothes of the social media influencer who was live streaming. In the live stream, Angie's face was magnified, the panic on her face clearly visible. What did you say? This wedding was tailor-made for me. How could they possibly change the bride? It's impossible. The social media influencer stared at Angie Bailey in disbelief. You don't know yet? The wedding invitations were changed this morning with the new bride's name. It's Cecily Collins, the daughter of that stock market tycoon. Angie Bailey let go of the influencer's clothes, her strength leaving her as she stumbled backwards. Just as she was about to fall, Kevin Lloyd caught her in his arms. Angie, I can't believe Robert would do such a thing. He clearly doesn't love you. Why don't you and I? Before Kevin could finish, Angie shoved him away forcefully. Her face darkened as she lashed out at him for the first time. What do you know? Robert limped for me, paid off my family's debts, catered to my every whim, and gave me all his love and care. She broke down, listing everything Robert had done for her over the years. Every word was heard clearly by thousands of viewers in the live stream. Oh my God! He did all that for her, and she still cheated? So that's how the CEO of Bennett Group injured his leg. He always refused to reveal it in interviews. I had never publicly disclosed the real reason for my limp. Firstly, I didn't want the public to condemn Angie, and secondly, I didn't want her to feel guilty. But in Angie's heart, I was just a cripple who couldn't even stand in the right place during the wedding rehearsal. In an instant, netizens crowned me the pure love warrior. After her outburst, Angie was surrounded by reporters. Kevin finally managed to shield her and get her into a taxi. I watched everything unfold in the live stream shared by my assistant, feeling utterly indifferent. Cecily Collins, wearing the wedding dress she was trying on, took my arm. What's wrong? Having second thoughts. She spoke lightly, but a flicker of nervousness crossed her face. I tucked a stray strand of hair behind her ear. I promise to help you choose a wedding dress that suits you. Why would I regret it? Cecily leaned on my shoulder, admiring our reflection in the mirror. We looked like a perfect couple. But when I saw someone appear behind us in the mirror, I frowned. Angie stood there, her eyes red with jealousy as she glared at Cecily and me. What are you two doing? Cecily gripped my arm possessively. Can't you see? Robert and I are choosing our outfits for tomorrow's wedding. Angie bit her lip hard, looking at me for an explanation. Calmly, I took an invitation from my pocket. You're welcome to attend our wedding tomorrow. Angie lost control and knocked the invitation out of my hand. She held up her diamond ring. Robert, I'm supposed to be your bride. We chose this ring together. Remember? I canceled my book launch and stopped the printing of my new book. Please don't be angry with me anymore. It's my wedding day. I glanced at Kevin, who had followed her, a mocking smile on my lips. Is that so? But I don't have the ring. I raised Cecily's hand, showing Angie the new diamond ring I had chosen, bigger and brighter than hers. Angie stared at our joined hands in shock, then turned and grabbed Kevin's hand, not caring if she hurt the hand she once cherished. She forcefully pulled the ring off Kevin's finger and held it in both hands. Robert, our diamond ring is back. Angie Bailey, I don't want something someone else has worn. And I don't want you either. Angie cried, her eyes red and swollen. That's impossible. We were about to get our marriage certificate. In this same bridal shop just a few days ago, Angie had been trying on wedding dresses with a face full of happiness. Now she stood there, disheveled and crying. Then she noticed a red corner peeking out of Cecily's handbag on the table. She froze. What's that? Cecily smiled at her and took out our marriage certificate. I heard you and Robert failed to get your certificate twice. The third time's the charm for me. The ring slipped from Angie Bailey's hand, falling to the ground with 2 fragments breaking off. Disregarding her appearance, She dropped to the floor to pick them up, carefully examining the ring for any damage. After a thorough inspection, Angie froze in place. How is this possible? This really is your original ring. It turned out that the material Kevin Lloyd had used to fill the inner circle of the ring, engraved with Angie and Robert's initials, had fallen out. Just moments ago, she had been crying and begging Robert to reconcile, not believing his evidence against Kevin. Kevin looked at Angie nervously. Angie, I just thought it looked nice and borrowed it to have a look. I didn't mean to. Before he could finish, Angie slapped him hard across the face. You lied to me? How could you lie to me? If it weren't for you, Robert and I wouldn't be in this situation. It's all your fault. Not wanting to witness this drama any longer, Robert had security escort them both out. That evening, Robert attended a family dinner with Cecily Collins. His parents held Cecily's hands, their eyes full of approval. This is wonderful. I felt a connection with you from the first moment I saw you. Dear, I'm so glad you're the one joining our family. Observing his mother's interaction with Cecily, Robert realized how stilted her relationship with Angie had been in comparison. His mother spoke matter-of-factly. I may be old, but my eyes aren't deceiving me. That Angie girl treated you poorly. She didn't love you enough. Indeed, everyone else could see clearly what Robert had been blind to. The next day at the wedding venue, everything was progressing smoothly, until the ring exchange, when a woman's voice interrupted their actions. I object to this marriage. Angie, wearing the custom wedding dress she had previously chosen, came running in from outside the hall. The sudden intrusion caught the security off guard. Robert, this wedding should be for you and me. I know I was wrong. It was all because of Kevin's manipulation that I didn't believe you. It's all my fault. Robert, you can blame me, hit me, but please give me a chance to make amends. We made a promise, didn't we? We were supposed to walk down the aisle together. How could you abandon me? Angie was visibly distraught, tears falling like pearls, ruining the makeup she had been so careful with. Robert took the ring from her hand, and a glimmer of hope suddenly sparked in Angie's eyes. Angie, I will never believe any of your promises again. I truly loved you once. You were the light in my heart. That love was real, and now the lack of it is just as real. Robert gripped the ring they had carefully chosen together and threw it forcefully outside. Angie ran after it without hesitation, tripping over her long wedding dress train and immediately twisting her ankle. Her first instinct was to look up at Robert, appearing pitiful. Robert chose to ignore her, calmly turning to the vicar. Let's continue with the ceremony. Security forcibly removed Angie, covering her mouth to prevent her from causing a scene. In her final moments there, Robert and Cecily exchanged vows, promising never to leave each other, and sealed it with a kiss. The hall erupted in applause. As Robert and Cecily walked hand in hand to exit, they found Angie sitting on the grass outside. Kevin rushed over to embrace her. Angie, you still have me. Cecily looked at her with contempt. This foolish woman hasn't learned her lesson. Does she think the ring was the only thing Kevin lied about? The next moment, a woman charged over, pushed Angie to the ground, and slapped her hard across the face, the force so great that Angie's cheek immediately swelled. You homewrecker! So you're the one who seduced my husband. Kevin's face instantly turned pale. Angie Bailey snapped back to reality, her face flushed with anger. Who's your husband? How dare you come here and slander people? The woman pointed to Kevin Lloyd standing nearby. He's my husband. We even have a child together abroad. Angie looked at Kevin, her face a mask of disbelief. Since Kevin had returned to England to further his career, he had always maintained the image of a golden bachelor. No one could have imagined he was secretly married abroad. The woman's voice was loud, and the wedding guests gradually gathered around. Angie struggled to maintain her composure. Don't be ridiculous. Kevin and I have no relationship. We're just good friends. Our connection is purely professional, just artistic collaboration. Kevin's wife flew into a rage, grabbing Angie's dress like a madwoman. Rubbish. Artistic collaboration? Do you think anyone here believes that? A few snickers could be heard from the crowd, and Angie's expression grew increasingly uncomfortable under the undisguised stares of the onlookers. The wife glanced in my direction, a mocking smile on her face. I heard you've dumped your boyfriend multiple times for Kevin. What now? Chasing him to the wedding venue? Having regrets? I never dumped Robert. Stop making things up, Angie shouted, seemingly enraged as she shoved the woman away. Kevin's wife threw a beautifully bound book at Angie's face. It was the wedding of my dreams. You even wrote yourself and Kevin into a book. Is there anything you wouldn't do? Angie had canceled the publication of this book, but the first batch had been given to some loyal readers as a surprise gift at a private sale event. Cecily was watching the drama unfold. I leaned close to her ear and whispered, "You did this, didn't you?" She smiled. I just couldn't stand seeing her trample on your feelings so carelessly. Seeing the protective look in her eyes, I held her hand tightly. I was grateful that in the end, I was marrying someone who truly cared for me. Someone posted a video of the incident on Twitter, and it quickly became a topic of public discussion. People started digging into Kevin's background and discovered he had been plagiarizing works from multiple artists. Several artists joined forces to sue Kevin, demanding substantial compensation. At the same time, Kevin's wife filed for divorce, also seeking a hefty alimony. With nowhere else to turn, Kevin came begging to me. "Mr. Bennett, I was foolish before. I was wrong. Please help me. You can do whatever you want of me. Hit me, curse at me, I won't fight back. Just save me this once." Kevin knelt on the ground, his tears and snot mingling together. I stepped away in disgust. Later, I heard that all of Kevin's assets were auctioned off by the court, and he ended up homeless, eventually killed by a luxury car while wandering the streets. As for Angie, the scandal led to a massive boycott from her readers, and she gradually faded from the literary scene. Cecily and I lived happily, and a year later we were blessed with a child. One day, I received a parcel containing a plainly bound book with no title or author's name. After skimming through a few pages, I knew it must be Angie's work. She had written about our past experiences, and the story ended with the two main characters walking down the aisle. Cecily came over, holding our baby, and asked what was wrong. I casually tossed the book aside and walked over to play with our child. "It's nothing," I said. There was no need to pick up something I had long decided to discard.